Fox. Now, I haven't broken these down into drama and comedy, but obviously it'll be fairly obvious as we go through them. The first is a program called The Gifted. Now, this is set in the X-Men universe and executive produced by Bryan Singer, who's been executive producing and directing a lot of the X-Men movies. Basically, this looks very much like a kind of like high school version of the X-Men. So it's about young people, who discover that they've got powers. It feels like very much like the cheerleader storyline in Heroes all over again.
I put Heroes 2 or Legion Junior, my notes for this.
Yeah, what this is teaching me is that Matt makes notes. I hadn't realised until we started these trailers.
I made notes for these trailers. I don't make notes for everything.
To be fair.
I don't. I just watch them and it all goes in.
Oh, yeah.
Well. I thought this was okay, but I must admit I'm a little bit scared because... Well, not scared is the wrong word.
Terrified?
Scared is the wrong word. I'm a little bit worried because there's an awful lot of these superhero television shows now.
Over-saturation of the market, the superhero market, and all the extended Marvel universe.
Indeed. And again, I didn't see anything new in it, which is the theme that we're picking up in these trailers for 2017. Talking of not seeing anything new, the next is the Orville, which is starring Seth MacFarlane, he of many Family Guy spin-offs. This is basically a Star Trek comedy rip-off. They're basically on a starship, exploring new worlds, and they get, they meet a baddie. Has
MacFarlane written it as well, or is he just in it?
I presume so.
I presume he's involved.
He's definitely involved.
We've said this before, that there's a possibility with pilots that they give away the best jokes. There was no way that was the case in this one. The jokes were flat, but the premise looks okay. The next was another comedy called Ghosted. This is a buddy comedy starring Adam Scott from
Parks and Rec, Big Little Lies.
Indeed, and looks a little bit like Men in Black, the TV series. Two people get kidnapped by a government agency, the Underground Agency, and they're set to sort of explore these kind of phenomenon. Out of the ones that I saw, as regards to a comedy, I thought this was okay. The next is the only drama out of one of the only two dramas that we've got. This is called The Resident. Now this stars, and I cannot pronounce his name, Matt
Carrie from The Good Wife.
Thank you.
That's how you pronounce it.
And effectively, you've got three storylines here. You've got, first of all, you've got the medical, the old medic, the sort of famous surgeon who's losing his skills. You've got Matt playing this, not you, Matt, the other Matt, playing this cocky third-year resident who's picking out the problems that the other guy's got, and he's kind of the one that's saving lives. And then you've got the new junior doctor who's learning, the exposition, the whose eyes we're going to see the whole thing, go through. This looked reasonable. There is a gap for this kind of medical drama out there, I suppose. I mean, drama.
It does seem a bit like in the early series of VR where you had Carter with Benson, and Benson was had a bit of a temper on him and was a bit, and Carter didn't like being with him, and that looked like this. And there's also, you said Bruce Greenwood plays like this sort of TV doctor almost, doesn't he? He's like the poster.
He is. He's like the face of, and there's obviously then
poster child of the hospital.
The more politics of the hospital.
Everything's a bit bland and a bit uninspiring, and
it wasn't nothing that sort of make you go wow.
I tell you what, the last one think is that I should make notes.
Perhaps you should, like professionals. Last, and in my opinion the worst, LA to Vegas. A bawdy comedy set on a plane, bad jokes.
I mean, Dylan McDermott looks like he's having fun, but then, like you said before, if people look like they're having fun, then it's probably a problem. He's like very. And also, there were about 4 people in the main cast. There was the pilot, the co-pilot, and 2 stewards. In the trailer, anyway, they might have fleshed it out a bit. I did like the gag at the end where it was like, another one, it's I'm Wheels Up in 10. I thought that was quite amusing.
Oh, but I mean, that's kind of like, pilots, that joke was done in Airplane 40 years ago,
That's the general gist, it is pilots.
Yeah, and I suppose we should say is that it's about the same flight that does every weekend. It goes from LA to Las Vegas and then back, so...
This is the one that I thought was most limiting. I don't understand how they're going to make a show out of this.
It does feel like one that might be cancelled first out of all of those.
That would be my tip. So, That is the Fox network. Again, there's also some coming back. So things like the X-Files are coming back, but there's no trailers for that.
And there's a new Ryan Murphy show as well, isn't there?
Nice. Yeah, but there's nothing. Guy have time?
I don't think he does anything but create television shows. His wife must be so annoyed.
Isn't he gay?
His partner
must be so annoyed. Cut that bit out.
His wife's annoyed because she hasn't found out he's gay.
Yeah. It's only the general public that know he's gay.
Next is the CW network. Now, the CW network has kind of taken up this mantle of the fourth network, or the fifth network, sorry, and is bringing back some interesting shows. The first of which is a remake of Dynasty. Now, one thing I would say, all of these trailers made the shows look very slick and well produced. Would you agree with that, Matt and Luke?
This one, I say this one made it look like if you liked the campiness of the 80s one, this is just having that campiness but modernising it. You know, it's like a soap, wasn't it, Dynasty?
Yeah.
So you've got rubbish acting, cheesy lines, sort of campy fight scenes.
It was known for terrible acting, wasn't it?
I've just put, what's the point? They did say in the trailer as well that it is written by the people who wrote the original one, but unlike like Dallas, where it was a continuation of the story, this is a remake. So I don't see.
There's nobody from the original Dynasty going to be making any,
I did see
characters.
Brief appearance from Alan Dale. I haven't seen him around in a while.
I was expecting him to be playing Blake Carrington, but he wasn't.
He probably auditioned for it and they said, you're a bit old, but we haven't had you on the telly for a while.
I think he was like the butler or something. I don't know. Next one is Valor. Now, this is kind of like an all-action American helicopter. I mean, this
a lot of these. It's all very flag-waving patriot. It's that sort of thing. I mean, we had one last week on NBC. There's this, and there's one coming up on CBS as well.
There is, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah, and again, there was nobody really of note in it. No recognisable characters. They're obviously going for a young new cast. There was that shot of all the helicopters taking off, and I'm just thinking, could be cars, could be tanks, could be anything. Why was it helicopters necessarily? I don't know.
They all look a bit
bland.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Generic, beige, I suppose. Even like just this one in particular.
We have yet another superhero franchise. This is part of the DC Comics franchise, and this is Black Lightning. Now, this was pitched as more a kind of blaxploitation sort of spin-off of those films from the 70s. Sort of like this guy is kind of like an older superhero who's hung up his tights and has become a teacher, but he's now being dragged back into...
He's got to get that 100 gang or whatever
He's got to get that 100 gang, yeah, though there was only 3 of them that I saw in the trailer. And also then his daughters begin to seem like they may have powers as well, so there's obviously the next generation coming through.
I didn't get this.
No, I didn't get this at all, really. I have to agree with
no interest.
I kind of watched it and I thought, I will not watch this.
No.
And lastly, but by no means leastly, was a gentle comedy about dying. Yes, that's right. Life Sentence, a quirky comedy about a cancer patient who is cured and now is not going to die and is having to cope with how to live.
It's the best of these CW shows, which isn't saying
the most.
Really.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, the most interesting.
They
of the
said
CW.
it's from the makers of Scrubs, and it looks like it's got that same sort of, the humour mixed with the humour mixed with. Zach Braff didn't create Scrubs.
Did he not?
No.
Oh, okay. I do apologise.
No, but the same sort of, you had that sort of humour in Scrubs, but you also had the sort of sentimental, emotional side. It looks like the balance here is more on the emotion with some comedy as well. And I do like Lucy Hale. I think she's
and another random Brit or an American
yes,
putting on a British.
And I think Luke will have met this guy before.
Oh.
The boyfriend in this, Luke, did you recognise him?
I can't remember now. Damn, I should have made notes.
Elliot Knight.
It's not Fake Belly again, is it? Or whatever it knows?
No. Elliot Knight, who was in By Any Means. I think he was the young police officer. I did meet him. Yeah, there you go.
You've now met an American TV superstar. Well done.
Yeah, playing Lucy Hale's husband in this. So that's your random Brit in the CW network one.